Welcome back to everybody, and thank you very much for all of your interest and your comments in my last video. I'm going to continue with the discussion about the coronavirus epidemic, but in this video, I'm going to share some insights from a friend of mine. I'd like to introduce Karma Tshetem, who is in Thimpu, Bhutan. So Karma, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. David, for having me on your show.
So I wanted to tell people about what is happening in Bhutan in general, but then specifically what you are experiencing, because I recently heard from you that you are in quarantine, in isolation in Thimpu because of the virus. So tell us, how did you end up in coronavirus quarantine in Thimpu, Bhutan?
Last March, on 14 March, I went to Delhi. I had a conference there with a few travel agents there. So on returning from Delhi, India. So then, our government, since I left Paro, like from Bhutan, like on 14 March. So the government said it a mandatory for every Bhutanese who are coming from the overseas. They have to be in the quarantine for like 14 days. So like I returned back on 18 March. So stayed away from the airport. I was driven in the big bus to the isolation room, or like in the one of the hotel. So today is my 18 days in this quarantine. So now they have increased from 14 days to like 21 days. So today is my 18 days in the quarantine.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so they have extended the quarantine to 3 weeks now, and you've been in quarantine now for 18 days since returning from Delhi. So when you told me that you were in quarantine, I was, of course, very concerned about you, and so I don't want to go any further without asking, well, how are you feeling? Are you well? Are you feeling confident that you are free of the virus?
I'm still not quite sure whether I'm free of this virus or no. But during my quarantine, on the 11 and 12, I had mild fever, and then a little bit of the flu as well. And then I informed to the nurses here. So they call immediately they call the doctors, so they check my the virus. So my result, the report was it's shown the negative. So I think according to the experts, so still I need to wait for a few more days to fully satisfy myself whether I'm carrying the virus or no.
Mm-hmm. Well, it sounds like if you have had it, that it was a very mild case and that you are probably through the worst of it. So I imagine then under these conditions that you will probably be returning home fairly soon. Is that what you think about it?
Right now, 3 more days to go. So on 8 of April, so I'll be completing my quarantine duration, the 21 days. So then I'll be heading back home.
Nice, wonderful. So what is the situation in Bhutan in general?
Right now, in Bhutan, right now at present, in the quarantine, overall in Bhutan, there are 3,200 people has been quarantined in quarantine facility, in the isolation facilities, and our government did 3,200 for the checkup for the for the coronavirus, and only like 5 of them are dictated like the positive. So two are the foreigner, the tourists, and the like rest 3 are the local, the Bhutanese people. Bhutanese.
Mm-hmm. And what would you say is your impression of the general response of the government there? Because I know that the government of Bhutan is rather unique. It is a kingdom, and I imagine that gives certain advantages and disadvantages in dealing with a pandemic coming into the country. So what is your impression of how the government is handling everything?
Yeah, our government took a very proactive decision, immediately, like as soon where the pandemic was spreading all over the world. So our government took very proactive action, and then like they immediately close all the border and all the tourism sector. Everything being they closed in last year in the mid-March, everything being closed, and then whoever coming into the Bhutan, like especially the Bhutanese people, so they must stay in the quarantine for like 21 days. So in the quarantine, we are given like the free facility, like all the 3 meals and like the free rooms and that thing. So for the like there is a disadvantage for like my age and that thing. Elderly, I think we are okay, but for the younger, I think like the teenage, like some scholar very young from the who are coming back from the university and that thing. I think they are having. I heard through online and that thing they are having very very tough time. So because they are not used to and have so many things to do.
Well, I wanted to ask you something very specific and personal, because when you first told me that you were in quarantine and I asked you how you were and what you were doing, you told me something very interesting about the way that you are using your time. And this is actually the reason that I wanted to do this interview, is because I think that the answer that you gave me is very important for people to hear about. So tell us, how are you using your time in quarantine?
I'm utilizing my time in the quarantine very well. So I don't do at home usually. So here I wake up very very early in the morning, like around 5:45. I wake up, and then then immediately just quick brush my teeth, and then then I do the prayer for 1 hour. So I chant a different prayer for dedicated to different deities. So after 1 hour of prayer, so then around 5 minutes I do the breathing yoga. So after 5 minutes of my breathing yoga, so then I do the meditation for around 15 to 20 minute meditation. So after meditation, then I go outside my room, and then I do yoga for around 20 minutes. So then in the afternoon again, after lunch, so I do again chant the mantra for around 1 hour. So which in the afternoon the prayer is fully dedicated to the Guru Rinpoche for my well-being and the good health.
Okay, so I know that the sound quality is a little difficult here, so I'll just interpret what I heard is that every day you are spending several hours doing meditation and prayer and reciting mantra and doing yoga. And this is what I wanted to share with people. And of course, my comment was, it sounds to me like you have become a coronavirus monk over there. And you also mentioned that you are doing a specific mantra, and that mantra practice is something that I am personally connected to also. Tell us about the specific practice that you are doing.
Right, in the morning I do the prayer dedicated to like the 8 different deities. So like I do chant the prayer dedicated to three Buddha, the Buddha of the past, present, and the future. And then I do recite the mantra of the the Guru Rinpoche. And then like I do chant the prayer dedicated to Tara, and then and also to the like the God of Wealth, and I do the chant the prayer of the like the God of the magic dagger, and like the to chant the prayer of the long life. And then like during my quarantine, so I memorize like the mantra like dedicated to God of long life and dedicated to God of like the medicinal Buddha.
I would like to go back to the way that you were describing your daily routine in quarantine, the way that you have become a coronavirus Vajrayana monk in Thimpu, Bhutan. You have been doing these practices, and I imagine that you are like one of hundreds of millions of people who are stopping to think about life and practice meditation and delve into the spiritual dimensions, partly because they have to. We have to. Everything has stopped, and this is the best use of our time. I think this is one of the really, really wonderful things that is coming out of this pandemic, is that people are questioning their daily routines more, and people are looking much more deeply into what is meaningful in life and how this situation can transform society on many levels, ecologically and spiritually. And so you are doing these spiritual practices on a daily basis because you have to, because the government is forcing you to be in quarantine, and you are doing what you know how to do from your own Buddhist culture in Bhutan. So the closing question that I have for you is, what do you feel from doing these practices? What are you noticing the benefits of doing these kind of meditation practices and reciting the mantra of the medicine Buddha and all of these kinds of spiritual disciplines that now you have time to do? So tell us, what are you learning from it personally?
Right, I have been actually like doing this chanting for last 4 years. So like yeah, it really well you chant and that thing like when you focus on that chanting and like this particular deities and that thing. So yeah, it really gives you like a certain kind of like the very peace, and also like sometimes I feel like some like obstacles like which coming on my way. So I feel like it's clearing my like obstacle, and also like uh, and also yeah, I have a I feel like maybe if I live longer, like maybe after 20 years from now, so I will renounce everything, and then I will go for meditation and that thing. So like me, yeah, that's my what I'm plan for my life.
The reason that we got connected first was because of your good work in helping to preserve the medicinal plants of the Himalayas. And out of our conversation, you initiated a project, which is the distillation of the Jatamansi essential oil, which I'm sure many of the people who are watching this are very familiar with and very anxious to get some. And I'm basically taking this opportunity to announce that you and I have been working together now for some time to create a distillation project, that you have been working with the harvesters and gathering the herbs in a sustainable way and getting a still ready, and the government has given you all the legal certifications to export in a sustainable way and so forth. So this is our public announcement that you are going to be our producer. You're going to be the producer for Floracopeia of Bhutan's first sustainably harvested and distilled essential oil. So now that everybody knows that secret, what do you foresee in terms of the schedule and the impact on everything? I know that everything is uncertain now for everybody, but the last time we spoke, you were planning on starting the distillation process relatively soon. Do you think that that has any possibility of going forward, or what do you anticipate in terms of the time frame of actually producing the Jatamansi oil?
Right, Jatamansi now, like as you mentioned, like everything is finalized now. So I got the approval from the our government to collect and to export from the Bhutan. So now only thing is So since from this year I'm committed to produce going produce some few liters of the Jatamansi oil, and then able to export. So now everything is on the pipeline. So we have all the channel, everything the harvester, everything I have put connection, and also with the government. So I have been following up, and then so the governments are very helpful. So they're going to give me the CITES, the international the certificate, so they have no problem. And also the forestry department at in the head office, as well as in this and the site, where collection are taking place. So they all are very helpful, like the park ranger and the chief forestry officer. So they're going to help. So there isn't there won't be any tech problem. So now even the machines, the distillation machines. So I've been I'm with good contact with the factory. So the factory, they are willing to supply at any time whenever I finalize to set the factory, set the this distillation process.
Okay, excellent. I know that the sound quality was a little damaged on that section there, so I'll just go ahead and reiterate, because I can understand your accent and I could also hear what you were saying more or less. So just to clarify, basically everything is all ready to go. You have the certificate to sell, to harvest the plants and to distill the oil and to sell the oil. You have your harvesters. You have your still, you have everything all ready to go, all the way from the government, all the way to the harvesters, to the distillers and everything. So congratulations. And so now we have this wonderful project that you have brought to fruition, and everything is basically ready to start and ready to go to produce this very, very fine essential oil. A first in the Himalayas, a first from Bhutan. So now, we just need to wait till the world settles down a little bit, and then we can proceed with all of this. So your practice is now making you think of renunciation and making you think of going deeper into spiritual practice. Well, thank you so much. If you decide to do that, let me know, because then I'll have to find somebody else to distill the Jatamansi oil. But hopefully we will have a balance here between working in the world and doing our spiritual practice. So Karma, thank you very much for calling in from Thimpu, Bhutan, and taking the time to tell us about your life and how things are then. And I just want to say many blessings of protection. I hope that all is well, that you are out of quarantine soon, and that you remain healthy so that you can continue doing your good work.
Thank you, Mr. David, for having me.
And thank you, everybody, for joining us. Join us in another one.